And contrary to what some people might suppose, there is a smoking area, at least here at the International Bradley Terminal here at LAX. And happens to be next to the only telephones that still exist in the airport. Here's an updated map of the S and U-Bahn system here in Berlin. Notice something, or better, notice something missing. That's right, the Tegel Airport, TXL, is no longer. Now you have to go through Schönefeld, now called Brandenburg, and €3.80 to the Civic Center. Better is to take the regional train. Here's the ticket for the regional trains in Berlin. You got to stamp it, stick it in the machine. It's called Entwerfen. I've seen people fined for not doing so. Here's your German coach locator board. The first class are yellow. Green is the second class, and red's the dining car. And it's also located on the Anzeige, the display screens. France, they're located on a little tiny display. In Italy, a huge television screen. Those are the three countries that do it. To see on a locator board a following train to Hamburg in a half hour, the Eurocity, it comes out of Prague, runs about 20 minutes slower, well worth the bother, sometimes cheaper. They have great meal service. We'll do that next time. I'm here in Hamburg, having just left Berlin. Berlin still is a little bit outside only, early closing hours. But Hamburg, reflecting its own federal republic, one of the 16 Länders or states, has more severe rules. You have to use something with a QR code on your cell phone, what they call a handy, and it's called a Luca. I'll be damned if I can find it. I don't know whether it's spelled with a CC or a K, but regardless, I did have the international European QR, as well as my pictures of my documents of my vaccination, geimpft, if you will, document. Still, they wanted the QR code for the Luca. Some restaurants did allow paper registration. Here in Hamburg, going to Cologne, if you will, and the 843 intercity. But wait a minute, here's the 839, the Flex. Take the intercity, better service. We come into Cologne, if you will, where note that the flooding, the Hochwasser, has already abated. Well, as always, what a contrast between Brussels, and Hamburg. Yes, they both still have outside-only dining, closes a bit early, but here, no mandatory registration, when certainly a lot less scolding. This is the Bruxelles Central, or if you will, the Brussels Central Station, and yes, it is central, because there's the Grand Place right over there, but like Malaga, Spain, it's not the main train station. In Brussels, the main train station is called Sud in Dutch or South, or Midi from the French, referring to the Mediterranean to the south. In Brussels' main train station, Sud or Midi, if you will, the international trains mostly board over here, especially the expensive Thalys, which we'll be avoiding by going through Lille. There is international non-reservation service on the inner city to Amsterdam. Noting that announcements here in Belgium are only in French, Dutch, and many times German, we'll be taking the 1013 to Doornik, but it's also called Tournai. Like many cities in Belgium, they go by two names. Notice right beside it is the expensive Thalys train to Paris. Be reminded in main stations here in Belgium, they have two completely different schedules in two separate listings. There's the weekend holidays and the weekday Monday through Friday. And here's what a French locator board looks like. And notice it's kind of important because it has two sections, two Abteilungen, two RAM. You can't go from that one to that one. See what I mean? Back here in Paris with Gare de l'Est there, and Gare du Nord là. One is reminded by one of the phrases that best describe France, a certain lightness in being. All the places are wide open, no closing hours, literally. The only people wearing masks are the servers. I'm reminded that the only people that seem to get ticked off by the French are the purse-lipped tisters. Mon Dieu. Paris has 6 main train stations, Gare d'Austerlitz, slower trains to the south, Gare de Lyon, faster trains to the southeast, Gare de l'Est, Gare du Nord, that's pretty obvious. We have Saint-Nazaire, trains to the west, and Montparnasse. Montparnasse is not available for connection between the others via RER commuter train. You have to take the metro. In the case between Montparnasse and Gare de Lyon, that's not convenient at all. Take the, I think it's either the 89 or the 91 bus. Real pretty. Well, because third time was not the charm, again, line 4 connecting Gare de l'Est, Gare du Nord with Montparnasse is closed for work. So we'll be changing, taking 2, and the change is at Place de Lille. Someone who's like sending postcards, yes, I do, even to myself. I like using stamps that are collectible, and, well, sometimes the post office is not convenient. Here's one across from the Montparnasse station here in Paris. You can get them at tobacco shops, particularly in France and Spain. They changed the seating service and the TGV, and it's a lot nicer. I'm here in Nantes making a eventual transfer to go to Spain, Barcelona, and a lot of possibilities. You could have changed it, Lyon, Valence, Montpellier. I'm going all the way to Montpellier because the tariff on the international Spanish-French train is higher the farther away you are from the border. Thus, better to take constant fare train of 10 euros here from Nantes all the way to Montpellier. Well, I'm trying a new meal here on the French TGV. It's called a bibimbap. I don't care either Korean name, but here it is. It's a probably curry, chicken, and rice, having a little bit of that health food, although some people say it's not really worth the bother. Bon appetit. Contrasting the 2 types of tickets, the above one is the French-only ticket, available on the web, no longer with the site for the rail pass discount. Gotta go through Eurail, no longer Rail Europe. Bottom one, hard copy. Hard copy sent through the mail. That's always the case for Spanish tickets. This case being the international ticket, which is available on Eurail. Domestic Spanish tickets are not. By the way, it's cheaper the closer you are to the border for the international train. Waiting for the announcement for which track K, if you will, for our international train to Barcelona here from Montpellier. And last time I was on it, they kicked me off because I had the wrong COVID test. It was a day off, and actually it was the easier one. If you have an electronic ticket, disregard this. But if you have a hard copy ticket, here in France, you got to stamp it, composte. They do the same thing in Italy. Having just crossed over on the international train from France to Spain, apparently there is no control service as last time, which was severe. So severe they even got me. Here in Barcelona going to Vigo, because now that's the really only feasible, relevant way to enter Portugal, now that the hotel trains have been suspended. And I could take the direct train, happens to be the longest single train in Spain. I've done that before. But today we'll be going via Madrid, Atocha, transferring Cercanía to Madrid, San Martin. And while it is 3 reservations, more costly, it saves 2 hours. Here's Spain's brand new train called the Avlo. Well, the bar cafeteria is back open, but good luck on getting passive-aggressive service. Here in Madrid's southern station, Portocha, the wonderful shortcut to the cercanía to the northern station, Madrid Chamartín, is to go via the airport shortcut. Just show you a rail pass. Here in Madrid's southern Tocha station, to get to the northern Chamartín station, use your pass, free connection on what they call the cercanía commuter train. And there's two ways to go. One is via Sol, the other is via Recoletos. And for the foreseeable future, via Recoletos is not available given renovation. Well, Burger King in Europe's no longer selling their price to move but excellent small, tiny chicken sandwich. And there's a long, long line, and the pre-order machines aren't working. But don't you fret now. You go upstairs, there's Pans and Company. Look at the yellow sign. There's one at almost every major location. Wonderful chicken sandwich. Well, going to Vigo, because that's about the only way, other than the one we're doing on the way back, which is even more circuitous. We're going to Vigo. I don't see Vigo up there. Well, that's because you now have to go to Santiago de Compostela. Wait a minute, Santiago de Compostela is not up there. That's right, the terminus of our train is Carunho Ferrol. Arriving in Porto Campagna, Portugal, which is the mainline station, as opposed to São Bento Porto, which is, well, worth the bother, but off the main line, we really have two choices going to Lisbon, Santa Apollonia, the final stop, or more convenient, Oriente. They alternate with two different types of service, the traditional intercity and the high-speed Alpha. They cost the same for the supplement, only available in Portugal at €5. Do note that the high-speed Alpha is also listed as an intercity on the bond.de site, so heads up. Vigo, Spain at Vigo Guichar, as opposed to the old station, which is up the hill, but most of the trains leave from here. We'll be taking the sole remaining international train between Portugal and Spain, now only in the mornings. It's called the Celta, even though it's only available on the Spanish site or available for free anywhere in Europe. It's Portuguese suburban service. So on this international trip between Vigo Guichar and Porto Campagna, the main line, we'll be arriving in Portugal in literally a couple of minutes. But I'm joking because there's a time change. We have to set it back going to Portugal because they're on Greenwich Mean Time. Here at Portugal's Porto Campagna station, the mainline station, we could take a little side trip, it's literally 2 minutes, down to São Bento with the most beautiful azulejo ceramic tiles. I've actually taken a photo of every one of the train stations in Portugal, available at Portugal azulejo.tumblr.com. Here at Lisbon's Oriente station, the second to the last main station to Santa Apollonia, the center of town, real pretty but very confusingly laid out. The ticket counters are up on the second floor, backward facing. The international is separate from the domestic, and you'll figure it out, but do be a little persistent. Well, this is Lisbon's Oriente station, second of the main one to Santa Apollonia, the terminus, the center of town. And you can change here to their suburban trains. Your pass is only valid to Sete Rios. It's a map of the Lisbon Metro as opposed to the suburban trains. And there's your Oriente. And you have to change if you wanted to go to Rocio, which is the center of town. Well, I'm going back to Madrid from Lisbon. Still no hotel trains, and the routing via Porto, mandated because of a stay over to Vigo because there's no late trains. And the train between Vigo and Madrid is absolutely full, no matter if you're willing to pay full price. Well, this is for the adventurous train fan. I'm going to go via Badajoz and a change at Mérida. We've got to start with a change at Entroncamiento, and we'll see. Here in the heart of Lisbon, well, you could take the commuter train from the Rocio station, changing at Benfica or Campo Lida, depending whether it's weekdays or weekends, to get to Orienta. But, you know, take the metro to Santa Apollonia. It's kind of new, and the better stop is go over here a little bit at Restauradores. And as long as you're here, do stop at the place to get a bifana, a national fast food Portuguese cuisine, so common it's even found at McDonald's, and this is the place to get it. Kind of a stewed meat sandwich, a little spicy. Also do add the sweet mustard. And here's my bifana with licor de barão, my favorite liqueur, a little herbal, very Portuguese. Here in Lisbon, you certainly can take the kind of famous elevator to get to the party part of town. It's really a long hike upward, built by Eiffel, if you will. Of course, Chuck here has the secrets. Go back to that Rocio station, you know, for the inner city urban trains. They have a free escalator. As we leave Lisbon, noting that the closing hours are about 10:30, and they have a common sense attitude about the match, that all changes Augusto Primero, the 1st of August. Later. Here in Lisbon, don't confuse the suburban train with the metro train tickets. While nominally the same, having a cost of 50 euros each, they're loaded with different information. To be sure, I always make this mistake. You get the one that's really at the gates for the metro, as opposed to farther away. It's more for the convenience of people leaving the metro, which tends to be the suburban trains. That's really profoundly the case in Madrid and Barcelona, where the cards are different. In Madrid, the hard plastic one is for the metro, costs 2 euros. I made the same mistake in Barcelona. In Paris, the RATP cards for both are interchangeable. In Germany, the S-Bahn, your pass is valid. The U-Bahn, it nominally is not, but with a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and they've accepted it otherwise, if you know what I mean. Here in Portugal, I am reminded by what I call the two sides of the family rule. The Portuguese do not speak Spanish. They speak English, given a historic relationship. And notice, New Zealand, Australia, Korea, Japan, Estonia, Finland, Ukraine, Russia, Denmark, Sweden, France and Walloon, Belgium, opposed to Flemish Belgium and the Netherlands, Austria, Germany, Slovenia, Slovakia, Czechia. You get the idea. The smaller country tends to be the performers, a little more easygoing. The larger country tends to set the rules, more rigid, and of course the most obvious, Canada and the U.S. Well, we took the high-speed Alpha, and here's an inner-city train we'll be taking back, a little bit slower. It has the same supplement fee. Well, even though I asked at the counter and they do not have a clue when the international hotel trains are coming back to Portugal for France and Madrid, there's still a schedule being displayed. Here in Portugal's Entroncamiento, we'll be changing for trains to Spain regardless. And great, recently upgraded railroad museum. Likewise, there's one in St. Vincent de Calders, Spain, with a steam train called the Fresa, the Strawberry, out of Madrid on weekends. You also have in France, Mulhouse, spelled Mulhouse. In Belgium, Marienbourg. In Holland, Netherlands, if you will, between Zutphen and Apeldoorn, a great steam train as well as museum. In Utrecht, in Germany, in Nuremberg, likewise for the steam trains in Schwerin, and, if you will, Amsterdam in Denmark. Look for the museum at Odense. Well, our international service between Portugal and Spain has gotten down to this. They interviewed me on RTP, Portuguese television. Look for it on ChuckJPC. And they interviewed me regarding what was then probably one of the greatest train rides in Europe, the Lusitania and the Sud Express from Lisbon to Madrid or France, now being combined going through Salamanca. The train is no more for at least the foreseeable future. Instead, I'm here on this, a new adventure going to the border, Badajoz. As we pull into look at those azulejos here in the last town in Portugal before entering Spain. And of course, being reminded, we'll be adding back that hour when we get to Badajoz. Here's our train going to Merida. We'll be changing and then into Madrid. Even though I'd made the reservation for the Spanish train in Germany, because you have to do that here in Europe, and here's my itinerary. It's going to be tight in Merida. I had my pass, everything filled out. The conductor was upset that it didn't have the reservation, the seating, if you will, validated by the taqueria, which, given current circumstances, understandable, but I just walked across the platform following the instructions of the local security guard, if you see what I mean. Well, we're on our fourth regional train going from Lisbon to Madrid because the hotel trains are not running. The old-timey versions with stainless steel, 5 ground meals, all announced by a bell. Everybody ate together. Amazing. No longer. Actually, the route's kind of pretty, so it's okay. By the way, no meal service in this train. Even the automat machines are shut down, probably until COVID is done with. Be sure to keep your ticket, because if you're arriving at the Cercanía portion of Atocha, you'll need to scan the code to exit. Well, as we're leaving Madrid, the mass scolding is still continuing, and unlike the other countries, there's no word about it letting up. Well, our train to Barcelona, it also says Figueres de la Font, the high-speed connection to France, and yes, it says Planta Primera, first floor. Remember, this is Europe. At the first floor, that's right, it's European, to board the high-speed train to Barcelona. Got to go through airport-type baggage control. I'm always one to eschew American fast food, especially inside any train station. Boy, you ought to see the line at McDonald's. I made a video about my favorite street foods in Europe. One of my faves here in Spain is Pans & Company. They have a wonderful chicken sandwich, pechuga, if you will, breast in Castilian Castellano, or in Catalan, pollastre. I'm here in Perpignan, France, where they're joining the train together, a 10-minute pause. And the last time I took this trip, they kicked me off the train because I didn't have the correct test, the right time period. This time I made a registration, and I did it in Malta because it's inherently in English. As we leave Marseille, which is reopened in every sense, except you do need that code on your porty, or what the Germans call handy. And we'll be taking the TER, Train Express Regional, a little bit earlier. It has the same number of stops, same timings, going to Niceville. You know what? It's also roomier. Here in Niceville, a main stop as opposed to Nice, we are going to be going on to Italy, not taking the Tello French-Italian service. Your pass is not valid, although if you go 2 months in advance, you might find something tolerable, but let's not say we did. We're going to instead take the TER to Ventimiglia in Italy, then the inner city Italian train. You know what that costs? €3. Buon viaggio. Well, maybe it's a little bit OCD or German. I don't know if there's a difference there. In printing out a pre-printed schedule by pulling down the train number from the Bahn.de site and printing it out, not only do you know where you are, but in case in this one we're going to be taking the earlier train, which allows for a layover. In this case, Monaco. Like those stamps. In Milano to Draghi, I'm taking the Fleccia Rossa, the red arrow, twice as fast. It's well worth it. It saves me over an hour and a half. And that's a short trip to Bologna. It does cost €10 instead of $3. In the Tallo train office, well, no, that's not Train Italia. Your ticket is not valid with a global pass. Well, wait a minute. This one is Train Italia. See what I mean? Here in Italy, like France, you gotta stamp your ticket, mindful only if it's a hard copy. Normally I'd take this Eurocity former Transalpino train to Zurich. Wonderful train. Instead of taking that Eurocity train with a big supplement, although my all-time favorite, to tell you the truth, we're going to be going a different way via Locarno. Here's our train going to Locarno. We'll be saving that supplement charge, also going by Lake Como, and taking a different routing through Switzerland. While not often shown on high-speed trains, it still remains true throughout Europe that the first class will have a yellow stripe somewhere. On this remaining fragment of a Eurocity train, now only existing in Switzerland, most of the Eurocities in Western Europe are no more, having been replaced by one way or the other. There's no food service, and this is on the second day after August 1st, which is a national holiday in Switzerland, and also the street techno parade in Zurich, or what the locals call Zuri. The sign says we're going through the longest tunnel in the world. Austrian railjet service going, among other places, to Budapest, Munich, and to Bregenz. That's the Swiss border, if you will. It's noted for its red livery. The Czechs have a blue livery. And while very speedy in design with airplane seating, it merely replaced with the same timings the Eurocity service. And here's our railjet. By the way, in Austria, they have something called an executive business class. Even your first class pass is not valid. We're about to leave Vienna, having done Linz and Salzburg. The Austrians, as to be expected, were more easygoing, more commonsensical about COVID. No masks generally, except for food service and on trains. And, well, you did have the, my new German word, Impft test to enter bars. Otherwise, no mask problem. Silly me, I missed a chance for a free COVID test while in the heart of Vienna. So I went to the airport, and right here at the train station for the airport, got the cheaper test, which is valid 2 days before going back to the United States, in spite of the fact that I do have my geimpft immunizations. It was €25. It was a cheaper test. Wi-Fi, or as the Germans and Austrians call it, WLAN, is easy, direct, and that's also true in Portugal. On the other hand, in Spain, and Italy, and France, I had difficulty in terms of using the ticket codes because I made them through the third party, of course, Eurail. Well, it's with great joy that the Austrian service, as opposed to others in the European Union, have reopened on the train, and of course doing the schnitzel. And notice the local billings. Almost always bill it in whatever the native currency is of the transport company. Case in point, Czechia, if you're taking the train, happens to. Here the Austrian train is showing connections as we arrive. The reverse is not true in Italy. Italian train connections to international will only show the border station. Well, even this supposedly non-stop train between Salzburg and Munich the Staatspolizei, the Fobo, so the customs police did come on with a special stop and a check. Not as severe as it used to be. In Munich, do stop by the Eurate office. The guy is very helpful. Now has his own little dedicated office. Well, as we leave Munich, Bavaria, or if you will, Munich and Bayern, the Texas of Germany in more ways than one, things are a lot more relaxed here, as you'd expect. Indoor seating, although you still... Well, I'm going back to the Frankfurt airport from Stuttgart. I purchased a regular ticket because my pass is all used up, and it's at the same rate. That's only because I bought it way in advance. Had I bought it now, it'd probably be many times more. A lot of country-by-country specifics associated with the use of your rail pass. I've listed them here. Here in Montpellier, France, if you will, be advised there are really now two stations, Gare de Saint-Roch and Sud de France. Sud de France is way out of town, connecting with a bus and a tram to the center of town, the TGV stop.